ISSA has some pretty big news to share with everyone today. And we have some guests to talk about this new program, which we'll get into in a moment. But to introduce, we have Oriana Raabe with Ecolab, Bill McGarvey with Imperial Dade, Brandon Serro, one of my colleagues at ISSA, and myself. So welcome everyone to our program.
Thanks for having us, Jeff.
It's going to be an interesting conversation about a very important topic, but I tell you what, I'm going to lead to you, Brant. Tell us about this new committee, this new council.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. We're actually really excited. In one of the most recent board meetings that we had in 2021, our board came together and recognized that ISSA needs to become a leading voice when it comes to sustainability and ESG for the cleaning industry. And it was determined at the board meeting that we need to invest time and resources into the matter. And the first step was to launch the ISSA Sustainability Committee. And we brought in some amazing individuals into this team, and we look to continue to grow in the future. But we really look to identify leading organizations in the industry that are already starting to have a voice or have had a voice for the last few years. So we hand selected and reached out to some of the first groups. And I'd like to really just lean on our guests today, Jeff, and start with Bill. And Bill, I'm just kind of hoping if you can explain to us a little bit about Imperial Dade's position around sustainability and why you felt it's so critical for Imperial Dade to be on this committee.
Sure, Brant. Well, first, thanks for having me on the program today, and thanks for inviting me onto the council, Brant. Imperial Dade has grown rather rapidly over the last few years. But we've grown from really, I think, some of the higher quality organizations around the country and really up in Canada as well. So I think it was important for us to maintain some of that hometown connection, if you will. And certainly sustainability plays a role in that. We've been involved with green cleaning for years, but sustainability is really taking green cleaning to a much higher level. Green cleaning is a component of sustainability. But really, you mentioned ESG, and certainly we have the environmental concerns there, but the social and the governance, how we treat our folks, how we conduct our business, these are all parts that play a role within overall sustainability. So it's really incumbent upon our organization to take a leadership role in that, especially in our industry. As for me, well, Brant, I'm always game for getting on board with something that can help to advance our industry. I've spent my entire life basically in the cleaning industry, on the operations side for the first half, on the distribution side on the second half. And it is incumbent upon us to take that leadership role. And I've always had, I grew up in the early days of the environmental movement, the old PSA commercials on TV, and they had an impact on me as a young person. Actually, one of my sisters had a poster in their room that read, "If we change the world, let it bear the mark of our intelligence." And that really spoke to me at an early age, and it's always kind of been in the back of my mind. And this is just another extension of that, really, in my mind, going forward.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. And Oriana, I was really excited to see your name mentioned to join our council, because I feel like manufacturers and specifically chemical manufacturers have a unique position when it comes to sustainability. So would you mind just telling us a little bit about the position that your company has, as well as why you wanted to join the council?
Yeah, absolutely. And Brant, thank you for inviting us to be part of this. This is something that is absolutely core to how Ecolab operates, right? Ecolab is right, many people know Ecolab is a really big company. We service a number of different industries, but in this case, right, the part of the world that ISSA intersects, right, as we think about these buildings, these spaces where we are every single day, it's such a huge part of our values, right, as how we make, people and planet healthier going forward in the future. And, that's what I'm really excited to be part of this from the ISSA perspective, right, is to take this from green cleaning to incorporate all those other things that we know we need to do. Bill mentioned ESG, right? There is no greater place to think about, especially when we think about social and governance issues within, people who are touching product every single day, right? Who are out there, helping us, right, as people who are in these spaces feel safe, feel comfortable in a very post-pandemic era, or maybe not even post-pandemic, right? But making sure that we feel safe, and we've got to make sure that they're safe too. So it's really exciting to think about how we can continue to protect those things. Sustainability has long been a core kind of from Ecolab in general, right? We try and be really transparent. We know that chemical manufacturers haven't always been that way. And so it's a really exciting opportunity for us to, right, continue to be transparent, to share, right, and to share best practices. Because frankly, sustainability is not something that we can do as any one company alone. Right? This is where we need to move as an industry across the supply chain between chemical manufacturers, operators, people doing the work on an everyday basis, our distributors, making sure that we're making the right choices for the future. And, because Bill kind of cited what inspired him as a kid. I used to go to the Minnesota Zoo when I was a kid, and they would always say, we're not inheriting the world from our parents, but we're borrowing it from our children. And that's what I love about sustainability, is that I can make the world better for my kids and a lot of other people's kids.
Jeff, I know you're dying to ask a question, but we need to capture both their quotes somehow, and we've got to get it on here, because those were great quotes. But Jeff, I'd love to hear maybe some of your questions.
Well, we're recording this, so we have grabbed those quotes and we'll no doubt use them. And it's great to have you both on this council. I wasn't invited myself, but I'll talk to Brent about that later. And I think, Brent, there's others involved as well. We can put that in the video description below so folks can see the entire council. But I guess my biggest question is, have you done something like this before? And what will make this work? What has to happen for this to make a difference?
Sure. So I've been involved with some other standards, authorship, if you will, over the years. I've been a stakeholder for some of the Green Seal standards, and certainly have contributed my 2 cents worth along the way with that. And I see this as another piece of that puzzle, really. So really, I was excited to be a part of this, because I think we can really create something here that can help to improve our industry, help those within the industry that are looking for some answers. They're just not sure what direction to go. Hopefully we can give them some guidance and really just help our industry. Green cleaning, obviously, by definition, it appeals to the cleaning industry. But if you look at some of the third-party organizations out there, were it not for the involvement of the cleaning industry, I don't know those organizations would be as vibrant as they are today. I don't know, some of them might not even exist, quite frankly. So I just see this as another way to promote the industry and move us forward.
Oriana?
Yeah, I'll kind of build on that, right? I mean, there's definitely other sustainability committees that are up there. But what I love about what ISSA is doing is it's making it really specific to this part of the business, because we know that there's different challenges, right? There's different issues that we've got to talk about. And so being able to take those really big picture things and make them really relevant for this industry and think about exactly, right, how does green cleaning fit into sustainability? What are the other things you need to consider? And just really putting that in the right mindset to make sure that, that all of the ISSA members have a really sustainable business going forward too. I mean, we can't ignore that as part of, what the mission is thinking about how we do things better, not only better for the planet, better for people, but also better for our members and their businesses.
Yeah, one thing when I hear you guys talk, and it's all good stuff, you talk about the industry and making a difference, there has to be a huge spillover into the consumer world to a bigger impact.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, education, right? The more people know about how to, how to use products appropriately, how to think about, products, right? We think about concentrates, right? We know that concentrating up a product is one of the best ways to be sustainable because you get all of the things you need without taking water out of the place that it started, without spending all that energy to go move it, and without using all that plastic that it takes to produce it, right, and to package it safely. So, there's so many things that, just getting those messages out to a bigger audience and have them take that into their home cleaning practices is going to make a huge difference.
Yeah. Brent, when you got with your new council, what did it feel like? What was the vibe? Is there a lot of energy there? What do you think?
Well, anytime you have Steve Ashkin involved in a council, there's automatically a large vibe, right? His name is known everywhere. But we have some really high energy people on this council, and I was actually intimidated. I'll be honest with you, Jeff, because it's not an area where it's my strength as a professional, and I struggled a little bit in the beginning. But once you start to realize that the impact that sustainability has specifically to the consumer and the end customers of groups like Imperial Dade or Ecolab or anybody, you are truly making a difference. And so not only did we have a lot of energy on this council, but it quickly shifted to people feeling like they're making a difference in the lives of everybody in and around this industry. And just to kind of piggyback that, Jeff, I wanted to ask this next question that just popped into my head. And I had a chance to sit at a table this week with a very large university in New York, and they were asking all of these questions about sustainability. For example, if the truck leaves and they leave a pallet behind, is somebody taking that with them, or are they going to leave that on campus? Are you going to reduce the amount of cardboard you're bringing to my campus on your delivery trucks? And all of these questions were happening. And it quickly made me realize there is a strong business aspect to sustainability. So I just wanted to go to our guests and just hear from you directly. If you could talk a little bit about the business aspect of sustainability and just give us a little insight on maybe where you see this going.
I'll jump in. I think part of what we're doing, we've started tracking some of our operations, and I should say we've been tracking a lot of them for a long time. That was just good business. But this is taking it a little step further and trying to understand where there may be some waste and where we can actually save some money, which goes directly to the bottom line. I mean, that's part of the conversation that sometimes is lost because we're so wrapped up in the environment and the people, and that they're both important. But if it's not sustainable for the business, it's not going to be enduring either. So really, it's sort of turning a mirror back on your operation and understanding what it is that you do, how you go about it, and trying to understand how can we be better about it. You talk about things like idle time with trucks and routing of trucks so that we're not going around the block 5 times trying to get the delivery made, things like that. When you start to do that, on the small scale, it doesn't seem like you're really moving the needle. When you start to multiply that across an organization and you start to take some of that key learning and you change some of your operation and make improvements, quite frankly, it's all good stuff for the business. And we often talk about that 3-legged stool, and we talk about planet, people, and profit. And people tend to try to stay away from the topic of profit. But let's face it, that's why we're all in business at the end of the day. And there's nothing wrong with that, especially when we put the sustainability lens in place and we really look at how we go about it. And we do that in the best way possible.
Yeah, Bill, I'll build on that, right? From my perspective, sustainability this isn't something we're doing for charity, right? And I mean that in the best way possible, right? We're doing a lot of the sustainability initiatives that we're doing because, right, they're good, efficient manufacturing practices, right? Some of these things aren't different from the best things that we should be doing no matter what, right? To your point, we don't want that truck going around 5 times, right? That just, it doesn't make sense, right? It's not good for the planet. It's probably not good for the truck driver, and it's definitely not good for profitability, right? So how do we think about, where we can make those really smart investments to make sure that, we're reducing waste as much as we can? And I think about waste not only as, right, wasted time, wasted energy, wasted gas, right? But this is just in general, what we think about as waste. And from our perspective, right, from manufacturing perspective, if we make product and we can't use it, that is time, energy, resources, all the way back through the value chain that we've just dumped down the drain, right? And that's not good for anybody, right? That's the best place for us to start, is thinking about how do we make things efficient? How do we deliver really high quality the first time we do it, right? And that translates through all of our businesses. Like, nobody wants to have to go re-clean something, right? So having a really high performing product, right? And having people who are trained really well, right? Hopefully listening to people like Bill, right? To be able to go do their job the first time, that's where we reduce waste and make everybody more efficient. And ultimately, right? Better outcome for people, better outcome for the planet, better outcome for profits.
And Jeff, this is what's really exciting. Like, you can hear how passionate they are. So I just want to say, if anybody's watching this, I want to encourage you to feed off this passion by coming to the ISSA show North America. Diana, Bill, Oriana, and Steve Ashkin, of course, are going to be on stage October 10th at 3:00, and they are going to be discussing the future of sustainability for the entire cleaning industry on a panel discussion. So I want you to feel this passion in person, because it just kind of fills you. Like, you want to go do good after talking to everybody on this council.
October 10th.
We're walking the walk. My lights just went out because I wasn't moving. Motion sensor shut it off. So we're trying to save energy at every possible turn here.
I wasn't going to mention it, Bill, but now you did. I thought maybe you're trying to save some energy, and I'm like, that's not going to work, Bill. Turn the lights back on. Now we get it. So you're living the topic. That's great. And Brant, you mentioned October 10th, 3 p.m. Central Time at the show. Everyone's going to be there on stage, so a great opportunity there. I guess one more thing I want to know, and then we can wrap it up unless Brent has another question. Oriana and Bill, what do you want to see the industry do now? Those watching this, I know you have your council, you have your people. What do you want to see others do to support this?
Personally, I would love to see, more companies thinking holistically about sustainability. And I know that that's a gap that we've got, particularly from a resource perspective. How do we create this value chain within the industry that really does promote end-to-end sustainability? And that's really where we need everybody to participate, right? Again, we can't do sustainability alone. So whether it's things like recycling, right, getting great standards for how we look at what a sustainable provider is, right? All of those things, as we align more on, I think we're really going to be able to drive, improved performance, right, and better outcomes for people and planet, and profits, of course, across the whole membership.
I would imagine that if a company was wondering what can we do, you'd be there to answer their questions.
I'm sure Bill, myself, Steve, the whole team would be really excited to chat with any of the members that have questions about it.
That's really a big reason for the council, is to bring this information together, make it available to the membership, so that the membership can take that. And there's no one size fits all. So it's really what makes the most sense for them to incorporate within their operation today, with maybe some lofty goals down the road. I would really love to see this become, sort of a movement, if you will. But the end state I hope to see is that we're not really sitting around talking about sustainability. It's just how we do things. I was on a panel a number of years ago, and the question was posed, where would you like to see green cleaning in the next 5 to 10 years? And my answer was, I'd like to see us not talking about green cleaning. I would just like it to be how we clean, that we're using safer products, we're using better processes and procedures, more efficient equipment, so that we are having less of an impact on the environment, but we're still keeping that built environment that we've been tasked with safe and healthy for everyone that enters it.
So a day when we're not just talking about it, it's just happening.
That would be lovely.
Yep, get ourselves out of a job. That's what we're going for.
And really, the clock is ticking. There's no getting around that at this point. We've debated it long enough. We really need to start moving forward and improving processes. Oriana mentioned recycling, and unfortunately, recycling is a great program in theory, but in actual practice, we fall very short with it. And I think there's a lot of reasons for that. And it's not just the cleaning industry. There are a lot of other contributors to that mess, but it's something that we need to look at, and we need to certainly be better about it. And hopefully we can improve the overall process for all people around the country in particular.
Oh, Brant, you want to wrap it up? Any final words?
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I would just like to say that if you have a passion for sustainability or ESG, and you're ultimately interested in becoming a leading voice alongside of ISSA, we would love to have you on the committee. We are extremely interested in creating educational content and standards and programming that the industry could take advantage of. So if you're interested, I would just encourage you to reach out directly to us, and we'll have that conversation.
All right. Well, thank you all for your time today, and we'll see you at the show.